Welcome back to Financial Fundamentals, where we break down money concepts in a way that actually makes sense. Today, sit back, listen up, and learn about one of the most important distinctions in personal finance: good debt versus bad debt, and how to tell the difference. By the end of this video, you are going to have a simple 4-question test you can apply to any loan before you sign on the dotted line. That framework alone could save you thousands of dollars and years of stress. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is why this matters. At some point in your life, you are almost certainly going to borrow money. Maybe you already have. It might be for a home, a college degree, a car, or just everyday expenses that outpaced your paycheck one month. Borrowing money is a completely normal part of financial life for most people. But here's the thing, not all borrowing is equal. Some debt can actually help you build a stronger financial future. Other debt quietly drains your money month after month, sometimes for years, on things that have long since lost their value. Knowing how to tell the difference before you borrow is one of the most practical money skills you can develop. And that is exactly what Financial Fundamentals is here to help you do. Let's start with the basics. What even is debt? Debt is borrowed money that you are required to pay back, usually with interest. That word interest just means the fee you pay for borrowing. Think of it as the price of the loan. Interest is usually expressed as an APR, which stands for annual percentage rate. That is the percentage of the amount you borrowed that you pay in fees each year. So if you borrow $1,000 at a 10% APR, you are paying roughly $100 a year just for the privilege of using that money. The higher the APR, the more expensive the loan. Now, you may have heard the phrases good debt and bad debt before, but what do those terms actually mean? Here's a simple way to think about it. Good debt generally refers to borrowing that may increase your income, your net worth, or your long-term well-being. Bad debt generally refers to borrowing that funds things that lose value quickly, or that carries very high interest relative to any real benefit you get. Notice that I said generally. These are not hard rules carved in stone. Whether a specific debt is good or bad for you depends on your personal situation, the interest rate you actually receive, and how the numbers work out in real life. We are going to come back to that point because it is really important. So instead of just handing you a list of debt types to memorize, let me give you something more useful. A 4-question test. Run any debt through these 4 questions before you decide to take it on, and you will have a much clearer picture of what you are getting into. Question 1. What is the interest rate? This is your starting point. A lower rate means borrowing is cheaper. A higher rate means the loan costs you more money over time, sometimes a lot more. This single question can tell you a huge amount right away. Question 2. Does the thing I am buying hold its value, grow in value, or produce income? This is about what the money is doing for you. A home in many cases may hold or grow in value over time. A college degree that leads to a higher paying career could produce income. A new television or a vacation, those things do not hold value in any financial sense. This does not mean you should never borrow for things you enjoy, but it does mean you should go in with clear eyes about what you are getting. Question 3. Can I comfortably afford the monthly payment within my actual budget? Not the budget you hope to have, but the one you have right now. A payment that stretches you thin every month is a warning sign. Financial stress compounds over time, and a loan you can barely afford today becomes a serious problem the moment anything unexpected happens, like a car repair, a medical bill, or a job change. Question 4. What happens if my income drops? Is this a secured loan? That word secured just means the loan is backed by something of value that the lender can take if you stop paying. A mortgage is secured by your home. A car loan is secured by your car. If things go wrong, you could lose those assets. An unsecured loan, like most credit cards, does not have that kind of collateral attached, but it often comes with higher interest rates to compensate for the lender's extra risk. And I want to be upfront here. These are illustrative examples to help the concepts click. They are not predictions, and real rates and outcomes vary by country, by year, and by individual circumstances. First, some borrowing that is often considered potentially good debt. A mortgage on a home you can reasonably afford may build equity over time. Equity just means the portion of the home's value that you actually own, as opposed to what you still owe the lender. As you pay down the loan and if the home's value rises, your equity grows. Now, home values are not guaranteed to rise, and a mortgage you cannot really afford is not good debt, just because it is a mortgage. But a well-sized mortgage at a reasonable interest rate on a home within your budget, many financial professionals consider that a reasonable form of borrowing. Student loans are another commonly cited example. If you take on a loan to finish a degree or certification that leads to a career where your income meaningfully increases, and the loan amount is proportional to that expected income, the math can work in your favor. The key phrase there is can work. A very large loan for a degree that does not support the expected payments is a different story entirely. Small business loans can also fall into this category when the business has a realistic plan to generate income that exceeds the cost of borrowing. Again, the numbers have to actually work. Now let's talk about borrowing that is often considered bad debt. High-interest credit card balances carried month to month are one of the most common examples. Credit card APRs are typically among the highest interest rates available to everyday consumers, and they vary widely by country and by year. When you only make the minimum payment each month, the interest compounds, meaning interest gets charged on your interest, and your balance can grow even while you are making payments. That is a very expensive cycle to be stuck in. Payday loans are another example. These are short-term loans, often used to cover expenses until your next paycheck, and they frequently come with extremely high fees and rates. The structure of these loans can make them very difficult to fully pay off. Large auto loans on vehicles that are losing value faster than you are paying down the loan are also worth being cautious about. Cars generally depreciate, which is just a fancy word for losing value, pretty quickly. So if you stretch a car loan out over many years to lower the monthly payment, you might end up owing more on the car than it is actually worth at some point. That situation even has a name: being upside down on a loan. Debt is borrowed money you repay with interest. Expressed as an APR, good debt generally helps you build income or value. Bad debt generally drains money on things that lose value or carries high interest. And we have a 4-question test. What is the interest rate? Does the purchase hold or grow in value? Can you afford the payment? And what is at risk if your income drops? Here's a quick question to think about. Before you continue, consider, have you ever borrowed money for something without really thinking through those 4 questions first? A student loan that far exceeds what your future income can realistically support is not good debt just because education is valuable. The label does not come from the loan type. It comes from your specific situation and the actual numbers involved. And here is something that trips a lot of people up. Watch the total cost, not just the monthly payment. Lenders can make almost any loan seem manageable by stretching it out over more years, but a longer loan term usually means you pay more total interest over the life of the loan. A useful habit before you borrow anything is to try to estimate the total dollars you will repay from start to finish and compare that to the value you expect to get. If you are paying back significantly more than the value you are receiving, that gap is worth taking very seriously. Now let's walk through a worked example with round numbers to bring all of this together. Imagine 2 people. Each one borrows $10,000. These are illustrative numbers, not predictions of what would happen in your situation. Person A puts $10,000 on a credit card at a 24% APR and only makes small minimum payments each month. At that rate of interest, over several years, they could end up paying back roughly 2 to even 3 times what they originally borrowed. And what are they paying for? Items that were probably used up or worn out long ago. Person B takes a $10,000 student loan at 6% APR to complete a certification program. That certification leads to a pay increase of $5,000 per year. Even after several years of interest payments, the added income they earn could exceed the total cost of the loan by a meaningful amount. Same $10,000 borrowed. Very different outcomes. The difference comes down to 2 things: the interest rate and what the money was actually used for. Person A paid a very high rate for things that gave no lasting financial return. Person B paid a much lower rate for something that generated income over time. Real rates, real tax situations, and real career outcomes vary. But the framework is the point. That is exactly the kind of thinking that Financial Fundamentals is here to help you practice, one concept at a time. If this video helped you see debt a little differently, please give it a like. It genuinely helps more people find this channel. And if you know someone who is thinking about taking on a loan or who is trying to sort out their financial situation, share this video with them. That is one of the best ways you can support what we are doing here. Got a question about something we covered today? Drop it in the comments. We go through every comment, and your question might become a future video. Speaking of which, if there is a money topic you have always wanted someone to explain clearly and without all the jargon, request it in the comments. We would love to hear what you want to learn next. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is a great time. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new lesson. Thanks for spending time with us today. Keep asking good questions. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Markets and investments carry risk, including the possible loss of principal. Always do your own research and consult a licensed financial professional before making investment, tax, or money decisions.